Hey everybody, how y'all doing? How you doing? Welcome to Just Talk Interviews. As I interview people that had their own YouTube channel or business. Today I have a very special guest. He was originally my wow first guest, one of my first guests on my channel 2 years ago, and I didn't have StreamYard at the time. I was everything I did on my interview was on a YouTube app. I didn't have StreamYard. So I had to ask him to come on my channel the first time, and we went. I mean, we went for like an hour, almost an hour and a half on that particular live. If you want to check that live out, please check that out. I mean, y'all gonna enjoy that because it was a good breeze on the porch. It was a port conversation, by the way. So if you want to check it out, check it out. I had to bring him back, so we could try to keep catch up with him. How you been, man? How you been?
Salute, salute. How you feeling? How you living?
I'm doing good. So tell the people that do not know about you. I know people in the first live know about you, but the new people that came that put to my channel on the big channel and the interview channel, please tell the people that do not know about you everything else. Everything.
Everything.
From the ground up.
From the ground up. Ethan Johnson is my real name. I go by Big Daddy Beard on YouTube. As you guys know, the channel, for those who know or don't know, the channel is BDBGP, Big Daddy Beard Gaming Promotions. I specialize in all different types of variety-based gaming. I also have podcasts that I do on the side. There's two in particular that I've done. The Debate Table and Artist Life. I also have independent company imprint where I do custom art and graphic design work through street artists. So it's my hustle on the side. Again, just an all-around variety-based content creator. Again, gaming, art, music, just bringing all the things that I love together in one. But gaming is what I mainly specialize in with the channel. Everything else is all stuff that I've done to expand with everything I've done with YouTube. But again, I am a full-fledged gamer all the way. But again, variety-based gamer. So I like to do a little bit of everything when it comes to just the world of gaming.
Okay, please tell the people where the name comes from. Please tell the people that didn't know about you where the name comes from.
So I don't know why. For some reason, people always have this thought in their head that it means something like adult related, but it actually doesn't. It's the weirdest thing. So Big Daddy Beard, it came from this cartoon called Beavis and Butthead that I used to watch as a kid. So when I started out, I wasn't even doing YouTube. I was just regular gamer. So what I did was I needed a PlayStation name because that was one of the consoles that I had, and I was trying to figure out a username to put together. So all the different recommendations that they gave me, I didn't really care for, and so I wanted something that was going to be like unique, catchy, funny. As soon as you see it, you hear it, you automatically start laughing, or you just find it just hilarious or entertaining. So I couldn't think of anything. So I was watching this MTV Music Awards ceremony, and so they had Beavis and Butthead. For those who've ever watched that cartoon on MTV, they had them as the presenters for the award. And so when they went to go present the award, they had Butthead dressed up as Hugh Hefner. So he had on like the robe. He's sitting in front of the fireplace with the chair, the bearskin rug, like the whole entire setup. And so he had the initials BDB going across his robe. And I thought that was pretty dope. And when he said what it mentioned, when he said what the acronym represented, it was Big Daddy Butthead. So I just started to laugh. I thought that was absolutely hysterical. I'm like, where did he come up with that? So I thought about it. I said, you know what? That's it. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use the BDB moniker, but I'm going to take the Butthead part out because I don't consider myself that. So I said, all right, what's something that everybody knows me for? Or they always like kind of, recognize about me. And I thought about it. I was like, okay, I get so many compliments and remarks about my beard, how nice and delicate I always keep it and everything like that. So I said, all right, you know what? Big Daddy Beard. That's what it's going to be. And so I ended up selecting that. Come to find out, nobody had the username, so they accepted it. I was like, perfect. That's what I'm gonna rock out with. Fast forward, now I become a YouTube content creator, which I wasn't going to do at first. I was like very reluctant about doing it because I just kind of like to be that person that comes home from a hard day of work, just hop on the game and just play. Never really thought about like, oh, you know what, I should really look into content creation with this. But with the help of my cousin and several others, they finally persuaded me to do so. I finally made it happen. And so now, I'm going on 8 years. I started back in June of 2018. I know on my profile it says 2012, but that's only because I was actually just holding a YouTube account. That's when I started my account. I didn't actually start content creating until 2018. I do wish I did. I wish I had started then, but unfortunately I didn't. But it's perfectly fine though, because now I'm here. And it's been an absolute roller coaster ride. I've met so many people. I've made so many connections locally, internationally. I've just been all with it. And so I'm still going to continue to keep pushing. I'm learning as much as possible. Sometimes the feeling just doesn't. It just feels so surreal. Like I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm actually doing this on the biggest platform in the world. So it's just an amazing feeling, to be able to do what I love and to get so much praise and recognition for it, and to get so many people motivated and inspired, even if they're not a gamer, just to get into this realm of becoming a content creator and putting their God-given talents out there to the world to see. So it's really dope.
Now I know I mentioned this. I know I asked you like, what was the very first game that you played? Can you remember when I asked you the first time? What was the very first game you played?
Yeah, the first games. Ooh. Yeah, so the very first stream I did for YouTube with my channel, it was NBA 2K 2018. I actually didn't even stream. Well, I streamed it, but I actually didn't play the game myself. I set up a competition between two of my good friends and had them face off. And I just kind of played like the host / commentator. So that was actually the very first stream that I put together. As far as like my very first stream with me just playing, ooh, I actually don't even remember what that was because it was like 8 years ago. Well, 7.5 because June of next year will be 8 years. But I don't even remember what the first game was that I actually played. But I know that was the very first stream that I started with YouTube.
What was the I've asked you this before. What was the hardest game, and what was the easiest game, and what's the hardest game you ever played?
Easiest game, man. There's so many. Even the hardest game. That's tough because I'm not a community game player. Like I play a lot of variety. So easiest, honestly, it really kind of depends on the genre, because there's so many different genres of video games. But I would just say, right, just off the top of my head, probably the easiest would probably be, I'd probably say Sonic, the first Sonic the Hedgehog. I used to think it was difficult when I first played it as a kid, but looking back at it now, it's such a breeze. It's so simple. But yeah, I would say that's probably the easiest. The hardest,
I know I'm asking you what's the hardest game that you don't want to play. The game that you want to play no more, like you might throw that in the trash. Like you don't want to play no more. Like forget this.
It's actually one that me and quite a few gamers talked about recently. It's the first Ninja Turtles game on Nintendo. Yeah, as fun as that game is, I still have not beat that game. And I've gone back and beat a lot of old school retro games, stuff that I played when I was younger, even now. But that to me was probably that had to be the most difficult because I still have not beat that.
Is that the one with you have to go in the war? You have to take the
Defuse those bombs in the water.
The bomb, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't beat that one, and I've still, and you know what's so crazy about that one in particular is that's still like the beginning. That part with the bombs, defusing them underwater, that's still like the beginning of the game. That's not even, you're not even like I can see if that was like midway, then I'm like, all right, cool. So at least I've made some progress. That's still very much at the beginning. It gets harder after that. And I think the most challenging thing about that game in particular is the fact that you have all four turtles. So if you lose one, if one of them dies, that's it. You can't. There's no like
done.
Yeah. So you have to basically stretch the whole entire team out. And I've seen people like stream it and actually breeze through it. I'm like, how did they do that? But literally, you have to make it to the end of the game with at least you got to have like 3 out of the 4 turtles. If you have just 2, you won't beat it.
You're screwed.
Yeah. And so that's that one. I mean, there's other ones that are really difficult, but that right there to me is probably like one of the most iconic yet complicated games ever.
Well, that's at the top of your list.
I would put that. It's definitely at the top of my list. Definitely, like without a doubt. Oh my God, just thinking about it, I'm getting frustrated.
So when you do the I know when you, now when you transition from the gaming to the music, who idea was it when you started that? Hey, I want with the beats. Whose idea was it? Was it your idea or to make the it was yours? So how the beat battle come from?
So very funny and interesting story. So when I started the debate table, I just wanted to keep it strictly, fun, friendly topics. One of the things when I started getting into podcasting and learning about it is I didn't want to kind of fall into the same realm as what other people are doing. And again, it's no disrespect to what anybody else does. But I noticed with a lot of podcasters, most of them kind of touch on a lot of the same subjects. They'll kind of put it into their own perspective. They'll have their own opinions on it, which is really cool. But for me, just as a viewer, I feel like it gets a little repetitive if everybody is talking about the same subject or the same topic. Mm-hmm. And for me, I wanted to change that narrative. I'm like, okay, I don't want to get caught up in just doing what everybody else is doing. I mean, they don't need my opinion that much on the subject. So I decided to talk about other topics that, I always just had debates with people about that you didn't hear people talking about on their stations or on their channels or podcasts and stuff. So I just thought about all the different ones that people would have debates about. I tried to make them as entertaining as possible. So I started running out of ideas because I pretty much got every debate that I wanted to talk about and every topic that I wanted to touch on. That was pretty much it. And so I couldn't think of anything else. And so I only had maybe at the time, probably maybe like 20 episodes. And so I wanted to do more, but I just couldn't think of anything. And of course, people were giving me suggestions and recommendations that like, hey, BD, like, maybe talk about this or talk about that. And I'm like, I don't want to do that because everybody's already talking about that. Everybody's already talking about this. I want to stay in this lane that I've created. I don't want to merge over. So I'm brainstorming. I'm trying to think of, ways to expand the podcast. And so I remember I was in a group chat with some of my friends and family. So come to find out, most of them in the group chat did music. And so when I found out that they made beats and they did production, what happened was I don't know what we were talking about exactly, but I just remember one of them came in and he sent us a link on his YouTube channel to one of the beats he had just produced. And so I'm listening to it as the rest of us. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty dope. And then one of my other friends does the exact same thing. He sends something out and then we're listening to it. And now before you know it, there's about like 4 or 5 of them all in the group chat. Now they're just going back and forth, sending beats. Everybody's submitting stuff. And so I'm listening to everything and I'm like, this is pretty dope. And, we're all like, as we're listening, we're debating and, talking about it, like which one was the best, which one was like, that was okay, or that was cool. And I just the gears in my head started turning. I'm like, you know what? That's it. Let's create a beat battle circuit that I can expand onto my podcast. And will make it to where it's a showcase. It's an all-in-one. It's a showcase. It's a battle. It's a debate. It's all those things, because people may not believe it, but I feel like when it comes to just any type of debate, the one subject, the one topic that has always been subjective and it's always going to be talked about more than sports, more than anything else, is music. Like, whether it's old, new, I feel like people are going to always continue to talk about music. They're going to always continue to debate about it no matter what. And so I gave them the premise. I talked to them about it. They didn't even want to do it. I think I had maybe one or two people that, thought about it and was like, you know what, BD, like, this would be dope. Let's do it. Everyone else, though, nope. Just giving me all the excuses in the world. They were like, nah, we're just doing this for fun and stuff like that. We're not really trying to turn this into something bigger and stuff. And I said, oh, all right. Well, one thing I was always told is, like, when you ever have an idea or a concept, never wait around for anybody. If you have the opportunity to get it out there and get it going, make it happen by all means. So I said, okay, you know what? The few people that do want to do this, I'm going to bring them aboard, and we're going to start to get this underway and put it in full place. And so, I talked to them about it. They started gathering everything that I needed from them. We did the very first episode. It didn't have as many views when it first came out. Mm-hmm. Again, we had technical difficulties, a bunch of stuff like that, but we were still able to get the episode out. So, I was still happy about just getting it out there and not just kind of like, putting the idea to rest and disregarding it. So I think when we first aired it, it only maybe did like 30, 40 views, which for me at the time coming up was cool. Fast forward, now those views, it went from 40 to 100, then to 200, then 3, then 4. I'm like, whoa, that was a hell of a jump. So now I think it's nearing like almost 700 views, and that had to be like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And so I was just amazed at the response and the reception that it got, because I really didn't think, especially with all the technical difficulties and, the fact that, I was still kind of playing around with different software. So everything wasn't as intact. You can still hear the music, but it wasn't like how it is now, where it's a lot better. The quality is much more intact, but people liked it. And I'm like, okay, I think I might be on to something. So immediately now people are hitting me up. They're commenting. They're saying, BD, like, this was dope. You just got to do this, that, boom, boom, boom. But this idea, this concept is absolutely dope. Find a way to keep it going. So now that I see the response and the reception it's received, I said, okay, you know what? Let me figure out how to keep it going. So that's when now all of the different ideas and concepts and ways to expand it and keep the podcast going now just start to loom in my head. I'm like, all right, so now we're getting somewhere. And so, yeah, here we are, multiple segments later. But again, I think people don't realize is that Battle of the Beats, even Battle of the Bars, which is the latest installment that I just did, it's all still part of the debate table, because we are still debating. We are still, giving our opinions and perspectives on this topic, which just happens to be music. But again, it's still very much part of everything else I've done. So it's not, even though it might seem like its own separate entity, it's still all part of the debate table.
So what, the debate that, I know I enjoy those debate tables. I enjoy those. Out of those, how many episodes have you done?
Right now, not including the ones that are coming up. Mm-hmm. Definitely, it's about 100. It's over 110 right now. Okay,
out of those episodes, I'm not gonna put you on the spot. What is the craziest beat have you heard on the debate table?
The
craziest beat.
Craziest beat.
Ooh. Like wow! It's the battle, and like you didn't want nobody to lose. Like what?
Craziest beat. Oh, that's a good one. That's a very good question. Wow. Man. because it's so
I
it's so
should
much
have had you
music.
the first time for that one.
No, yeah, and you know what's so funny, JT, that a lot of people that are starting to catch wind of Battle of the Beats, they've come into my live streams and they've even asked me, like, who do you think, like, who do you think's the best producer? Who do you think has the dopest beat? And so it's cool that they put me on the spot because it just makes the conversation more entertaining as I'm doing my thing. But it's like a Jeopardy question. It's tough. It's so much music and it's so much dope music. But if I had to say, just off the top of my head right now, there's a beat called Marionette Massacre, and it's by a producer. He's from the US, but he lives in Japan, DJ Sunny Side Up. To me, I love that beat just because not only is it, I mean, he sampled the Puppet Master theme music from the horror franchise. If you guys have never seen Puppet Master, definitely watch it. If you're not a horror fan, don't watch it. But if you are, definitely check it out. But I love that theme music so much. And so I sent it to him. And when he sent it back, I was just like, wow. Because for one, the transitions, the switch ups were absolutely amazing. I love how he went from light to dark. And then it just got darker and darker as it proceeded, as you listen to it. And, it was just dope. I came up with the title because he couldn't think of a title. He always tells me, like, BD, you always think of dope titles for everything I do. So I'm listening to it and I'm like, this just sounds absolutely amazing. You had the playful vibe. Then it kind of went into the Jersey club format. Then it just transitions into like this dope trap type of style. And then it just gets like really eerie at the end. I mean, just the way he put it all together, that to me, if I had to say, is probably not only just one of my favorites, but probably just the dopest one. Or I was just like, man, like, wow, like speechless. So yeah.
Were you nervous on the game, being a gamer, or were you nervous being a producer? Which one are you nervous most nervous of being when you go live?
Oh, you mean podcaster or?
Yeah.
Because I don't.
The gamer or a producer, which one you're more nervous of when you hit the go before you hit the go live button? Which one you're more nervous of?
Podcasting, because I'm actually not a producer. A lot of people think because of Battle of the Beats that I actually make beats and make music. I do not. I mean, people are trying to push me to start doing that, but I already have too much on my plate as it is.
I was asking, but I was going to say, hey, you get big one. You get big one.
So many of the producers that I've met and built relations with, they keep saying like, BD, you should get behind the soundboard and do something. I'm like, nah, I'll leave that to y'all. It does look fun though. They send me a lot of their videos and their behind the scenes content of like how they're putting the beats together, and it does look fun, but it's a lot. It's a process. They just don't. I'm so amazed because they make it look so easy, but I know it takes a lot of work. So I'm just not ready to do something like that yet. I wouldn't mind dabbling maybe here and there, but I already have too much going on. So last thing I want to do is try to get into something that I know is just not my lane. I'll leave that to the pros. But yeah, everybody, I'm not a producer though. So if that, just to answer everybody's question, because they think I am, I'm just a host and a podcaster. But to answer your question, between the two, and it still applies to this day, podcasting, I would say gaming is easy because all that is just just sitting there, just playing the game. It's not like you're really having to do too much. One thing I do try to do is I try to be as entertaining as possible. That's why I like to pick different various games, because I like to kind of put myself in the shoes of the character or whatever type of game it is, and kind of narrate it, make it funny, interesting, entertaining, give people a good laugh, things like that. But definitely podcasting is definitely, I'll always get nervous. Even still to this day, I know people probably are like, BD, like you do it so well and so effortlessly. I was actually talking to my aunt, Angie Styles, Jarrett, and we were talking about podcasting, and I was telling her, like, I still get nervous every single time. Every time I hit that red button and go live, every single episode, I'm always nervous. I know it doesn't look like it, because, and she said the same thing. She's like, no, you do it so smooth and so effortlessly, and you do it like it's nothing. I'm like, yeah, it may seem like that, but I'm nervous. But I'm only nervous for maybe like a few seconds to like a minute in. But after that, the nervous feeling goes away. But just, of course, in the beginning, because I'm just trying to formulate in my head, okay, what to say, how to say it, all those things. But I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable now. In the beginning, when I first started, oh yeah, very nervous between the debate table and Artist Life. Even though Artist Life is a little more different because I'm more so, just kind of like freestyling and talking while I'm working on different art and graphic design pieces. Debate table is different because that's like full out topics. So it's like I got to make sure that I do my research. I got to make sure I know what to say, how to say it. So I have to be like quick, fast with it. Everything has to already kind of be planned in my head, and I have to kind of like make a script for myself on how to do this, that, and the third. But yeah, definitely podcasting is the one thing that I still very much get nervous about.
Do you ever like? I know I asked this. Do you watch your videos, your videos, and your things back and make sure that everything's smooth and you didn't want messed up on anything?
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like as a content creator, you have to go back and learn from everything you've done previously. And it's funny because I was actually talking to somebody on my live. I don't know which game it was I did, but I was telling people, especially as you're building and becoming a content creator, think of it kind of like being a sports athlete. Whenever athletes or even teams for that matter, if they lose games, what do? They might be frustrated. They might be pissed off, whether it's a tough loss or a blowout, whatever type of outcome it is. One thing they always do is they go practice the next day. They'll go watch film. They'll go back and right the wrongs. Okay, what mistake did we make? What happened here on this play, or what happened in this scenario that caused us to lose this game? So I always kind of use that reference to help with content creators, even myself, just kind of something to kind of play in your head to help you remember of how to elevate and get better when it comes to putting together content on any of these platforms, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, any of them, Instagram. So you have to kind of learn from that. And so it's always good to go back and watch your previous stuff so that you can see, okay, I had a technical error here, or, the sound check wasn't right here. Okay, let's make sure that we fix that or take care of this. So yeah, it helps because it makes you that much more professional. It also shows that you are serious about what you're doing, because I think what happens is some people, they just kind of get lost in, just thinking about how many people are coming in or how many people are supporting versus like, okay, wait, why aren't people coming back, or how come people aren't, continuing to show love and show support to the content? You got to right those wrongs. You got to check those mistakes. So there's nothing wrong with it. And plus, I always tell people, never get rid of any of your previous content unless it's really that bad to where you feel like you have to get rid of it. Understandable, but I wouldn't advise anybody get rid of anything. Learn from it because it's only going to make you better in the long run and down the road. And there's nothing wrong with, upgrades and transitioning. Like when I first started Debate Table, my very first episode, I did that straight from my phone. And again, I didn't have all the technology I have now, but I was still able to do it. And so I'm happy about the outcome because, again, it did really well for that first episode being the pilot. But like now that I've, been able to generate more revenue, income, things like that, now I can dabble into other things to help spruce up, all of my live streams and all my podcast episodes and make it even better. So it's always a plus to go back and watch your stuff and learn as much as you can from it.
What the pros and cons being a gamer? Well, I'm not. The pros and cons. First question is the pros and cons of being a gamer or at a debate table. Second question is, are you thinking of doing an interview with any producer? And not just a high profile producer. I mean, like the one that you doing the debate table. You want to do like a interview after you get done with the, the debate table at all? I mean, what is it, like all done and finished?
As far as like interviews, probably not. I have been asked if I would ever start to conduct interviews, for, some of the artists and producers that I featured on both Battle of the Beats and Bars. Probably not, just because I don't know the first thing about interviewing. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't know what questions to ask. I wouldn't know what to say. I mean, if I were to do it, I would have to make it more like a conversation and not make it feel like an interview. That would probably be the only way I would successfully pull it off. But honestly, I just think, and again, to anybody that does it, like yourself and others, I think it's great. You guys have the format down, you have the questions well prepared. So kudos to everybody, including yourself. But for me, that's just not my lane. Like, I don't see myself, transitioning into that. I don't mind being in a room with people and we're having conversations and talks about it. I'm all for that. But as far as me doing like a Q&A type of thing, probably.
I mean, like, what I mean is, like, when you get done with your debate table, you just bring them that backstage and talk to y'all, and you say, hey, what do you think I did? What did I need to better about that? You want to do it like
okay.
Like that.
Oh yeah. I get what you're saying now. I thought you were talking about like actually like interviewing them. Okay. Oh no. So yeah, we have like a huge group chat, and we don't talk as much, but the opportunities that we do have, yeah, we do converse. They'll give me some ideas or some concepts. I mean, for the most part, a lot of them are like kind of relatively quiet. They kind of stay to themselves. There are a few of them that I do talk to within the group chat and individually. So they will brainstorm ideas. They'll give me suggestions on, what I can do to add this and add that to the shows, make the episodes more interesting. So yeah, I always take heed to any ideas, concepts, and suggestions that they have. I think just for the most part, I think they're all just excited about having this type of platform available for them to be able to express what they do musically and creatively. So I know a lot of them give me praise for that, but there's only maybe like a small handful of them that will kind of give me some ideas and concepts. So yeah, we're looking to expand as much as possible and, keep this train going, because I'm seeing more and more people are starting to catch wind of it. I mean, I have the loyal supporters that have been there since day one, but now I'm starting to get a new breed of audience, of people that I haven't met, or, somebody told them about it and now they're starting to catch wind to it. So as I'm watching these, most recent episodes, I'm seeing a lot of new faces that are coming in like, hey, this is my first time here, but hey, this is dope. I like this. This is different. This is unique. So hearing those type of things definitely not only excites me, but motivates me to continue to keep it pushing and figure out, okay, what can I do next? What can I bring to the table that I haven't done already? What next creative idea, creative element can I expand and branch off of, with what I've done already? So yeah, but yeah, they definitely do give me feedback. They'll give me any input that they have. And so yeah, even like right now, we're doing the mystery battle segment, and quite a few of them have actually hit me up for like different challenges and different types of matchups that they feel like we should do. Right now, I would say, and this kind of piggybacks off your first question, like pros and cons. So setting up the episodes and, just getting people to come in, promoting, advertising, to me, those are all easy. That's the pros. The hardest part, especially, just with, doing not so much the topics, the debate topics as themselves, because that's pretty easy. I'm able to just kind of do that on my own. But as far as doing like the bars, the beats, it is tough because everybody does different types of music. So if everybody isn't on the same accord musically, it does kind of make it a little bit challenging, especially like if I'm trying to do a specific type of matchup. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, BD, can we possibly see this type of matchup, or could we see this type of musical debate? And it's not that I can't do it. It's just that if, the artists themselves don't have that type of music, then it's a little bit challenging. So I have to try to figure out, okay, who can do this type of music? Who can specialize in this to actually turn it and formulate it into an episode? But once I'm able to find those people, that's the easiest part. But it's tough because not everybody, wants to showcase their talent. I've been going around. I'm kind of like I'm turning more and more into like people are starting to call me like an A&R, like a talent scout. So I'm connecting with as many people as possible, and so I'm trying to not put too much pressure on them, but kind of motivate them to get their stuff out there because they actually have the sound and the music that I'm looking for. And most of them usually agree and get on board. And then there's others that are just like, no, I'm okay. I'm good. So that's another con that kind of falls into play a little bit. But for the most part, it hasn't been too difficult. It's been more pros than cons.
So do you ever get frustrated when you play your live stream games? I enjoy them. Do you ever get frustrated when the live just flat out hurts in the middle of the game? Is like, what the heck happened?
Yep.
Like
when it crashes, right?
So what would you do if when you just you were just mind your business playing your game and then all of a sudden it just cuts in the middle of the game. I mean, yeah, the middle of your live and what you do? You have to start the whole game over and the live up again, or how that work?
Well, the first thing I do is I yank my beard off. That's like, I can't believe that just happened. No, yeah, a nice beard yank is the first thing I do, just to show my frustration. But I always do it off the live, so nobody sees. This it's detachable. But no, so there's a number of things that I will usually do. Well, in the beginning, what I used to do was I actually used to start the game all over and then just give it a few minutes and start the live back up, just to pick up where I left off. I usually do that. I don't have that issue as much now. I did have it in the beginning when I first started, and it drove me nuts. But like now, if I do stream and it crashes, I'll be honest, I just leave it as is, and then I'll just go in the comments and tell people, hey, listen, my apologies, but the stream crashed at this point. I hope you guys still enjoy the replay, because one of the things that separates me from a lot of other gamers and streamers is that I don't really like to do full walkthroughs of these games. And everyone's been hounding me to do that. They've been saying, "Oh, BD, like you should."
I was just asking about that question. I'm like, I ain't asked you the first time, but you don't do the full walk through like most gamers they do all the time.
Yeah.
Play. Okay.
Yeah, and again, I know it frustrates a lot of people. They're like, "Why?" Couple reasons. For one, I'm speaking as a viewer. If I'm watching and say I'm a gamer and it's a game I'm looking forward to that's highly anticipated, I want to play it. I feel like it's spoiling it for me if I see somebody else playing it, especially if they're doing the entire walkthrough. Now, if they're just doing like maybe a demo or like a small little video, a trailer, just to kind of, amp it up, I'm cool with that. But when they're doing a full walkthrough and then I know it's a game I want to play, then it's going to bother me. I'm not mad at them because, like I said, they're doing their thing. But for me, it's like spoilers. If you're watching a TV show or a movie, and you know what's going to happen before you even get a chance to check it out. It's just like, well, what's the point? It's the same thing with gaming. When I see somebody doing a full walkthrough and I want to play it, it spoils it for me. So I have a lot of my friends and family within the gaming community. I'll see them playing certain games that I haven't gotten yet, and they'll send me the videos. I know it. I feel bad. I still give it a like. I still support it, but I just won't watch it. Only because I don't want to spoil it for myself. So what I decided to do to make it beneficial for not only myself and everybody else is I just started doing streams where I just do a little bit of gameplay. I won't play the whole entire game, just so people can get an idea of what to expect, what to look forward to. So I almost kind of treat my streams as if like they're a trial or a demo. And most trials or demos in games usually last, depending on your gameplay, they can last anywhere from like an hour to 2. And for me, I think that's good enough for anybody to watch and check it out and just get a general idea. Okay, I can expect this and that from the game without having to see the entire thing. All right, cool. I'm going to go get the game. The other reason I don't do walkthroughs is because I just have way too many games. If I was one of those people that was just playing like maybe 2 or 3 games at a time, I probably would do a full walkthrough. But as you guys can see, for those that have been following the channel or new to the channel, I have a lot of games. I mean, Jarrett, you can see that for yourself. I got way too many games.
That's why I was like, I'm coming there every once in a while to see what game you playing. I'm gone. I ain't gonna sit there for half an hour. See what you doing? I'm like, I know exactly what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too hard for me to try to just devote myself to just one game or 2 games when I got so many in my catalog between all the consoles that I have. So that's why I'm just like, all right, let me just do a little bit of gameplay for this one and that one and so forth and so forth. So people can see, the game itself and get an idea. And again, without taking too much away from it, because again, I love to focus on the variety. I'm sorry, let me put my light on.
Well, he getting that Jarrett drop. The first interview I did with him. It's on the video at the very bottom. You probably said it's the first. It said Jarrett Toss and Beard 1. It's the first one. So it's on the video. It's not live. It's done already. It's on the video. You have to see it. It's just me and him on YouTube app.
Yeah.
So it's not on StreamYard at all. So everything was on StreamYard. I mean on YouTube app. As with the I know you say you don't want to drop walkthroughs, but do you ever? I'm not gonna say you don't want to, but do you want to do like you want to help someone who having hard? I mean, who have the same game as you, and if they ask you for some help for that particular, that particular session, you will help them out when they have a hard time with whatever the game they're playing, whatever game you're playing.
Oh yeah. Honestly, before I even became a content creator, a lot of my friends and family kind of like they used to refer to me as like the human strategy guy, especially if it was a game that if it was a game that I had played and beat multiple times and they never played it, they would always hit me up, have me come over, hey, like, can you please walk me through this or help me get to this part or whatever the case is. So yeah, I was always doing that, helping them out and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely have no problem doing something along that aspect of like, being like a tutorial or like a guide to help people if they're having difficulty or getting stuck on a certain part of the game. Yeah, absolutely, no problem. But as far as, again, just walkthroughs, probably not. I mean, again, I would love to do it. It's not that I don't want to like completely shut down the thought of it. But, again, if there weren't so many games, I probably would do it. But because so many games are dropping, there's so much stuff that I'm stumbling across. I mean, everything from puzzles to movie games to just stuff that's in my favorite, some of my favorite genres and stuff. It's just way too much to just devote my time to just a full out game. And and this is another reason I don't do walkthroughs either. If I'm going to do a walkthrough, I'm doing a full walkthrough. I'm not just going to kind of like just do bits and pieces. I'm showing you everything, how to get this, how to get here, how to do this, how to do that. I'm like you remember those they used to have them at GameStop and KB Toys and all those other like major places that sold games. I used to have those gigantic manuals, the strategy guides. It was like
yeah.
If I'm going to do a stream, I want my stream to be like that booklet. I'm going to show you everything bit by bit, every single step. So that's another reason why I don't want to do it. Because there's still certain games that even though I played it and I beat it a bunch of times, there's still like little things that I might have forgotten or I didn't think to do. So if I don't incorporate that in there, I'm going to kind of feel bummed out. Like, oh, I did a walkthrough, but I didn't get a chance to show you how to do this or show you how to do that. So for me, I would have to really take time, play the game, research, find everything that's included in the game to make sure that when I stream it, you know, you guys have the full in and out of it, like a virtual menu. So that's another reason why I just stayed away from just doing walkthroughs.
What about doing reviews on the actual game? Before you actually play it.
What's that?
I said, what about doing reviews of the game? The game or the you do on your channel. You want to do it reviews on like particular game that before they come out before you play it, or music?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like I kind of already do reviews as I'm playing a lot of these different games. You know, me
No, I mean
showcasing.
actually watching the video of the actual person playing it before you actually like that's
Oh,
the person playing it while you reviewing if you have the
oh,
game yourself.
probably not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do that. Now, what I have started doing is there's this company that I linked up with all the way in the Philippines. They asked me to do a presentation of their game. And so I kind of talked about it in full detail. The game actually is not coming out until July of next year. So I talked to them. They asked me to put together a video, and I did a live, you know, showcasing the game, you know, showing people like the gameplay and stuff like that. Just all the ins and outs, stuff like that. I don't mind doing, but yeah, as far as like me just doing just reviews, um, probably not, unless it's something along the lines of like, you know, a promo like what I did. The game that I actually did the promo for is called Strict 9. And again, it's coming out July 2026. So it looks really good. I can't wait to get it. I actually have it on Steam. I just got to find a way to set everything up so I can stream it from there. But I actually talked to them. I'm hoping that the game gets released on some of the other platforms because right now they just have it available on Steam. It's just a demo. But something like that, I don't mind doing those type of presentations, like putting it together, you know, having the companies or whoever give me all of the information so that I can now, you know, formulate it into like a nice full length show, something like that. Yeah, but I mean, just to do like reviews and stuff like that, no, probably
What I know you guys you love playing, you love what you're doing right now. You love playing the games and making I don't have to say making people famous, but you love making beats with other people.
not. Oh yeah, yeah. Everything that I'm doing on my channel, I absolutely love it, and I always encourage everybody to do what you love, do what you enjoy. You know, whatever your premise is, whatever your purpose is for this channel, or whatever you're doing with content creation, go all out. Have fun with it. I feel like that's the biggest problem with today's society. Everybody is just so busy trying to follow behind what everyone else is doing just to make a name for themselves instead of really just putting their all into what they love and enjoy. I love gaming. I love art. So I've turned that into something. You know, again, yes, I'm making money from it. I'm getting revenue. You know, I'm making connections. I'm networking, all these things, which are great. And I love it. But I never lose sight of what I'm here to do, which is to entertain. And I'm entertaining through these God-given talents that the man above has blessed me with. So I always encourage everybody to have that mindset every single time you go live, whether you're doing a premiere, a video, an actual live stream, a short, whatever you're doing on whatever platform, put your all into it and have fun with it. And show people that you're having fun because that's where your audience is going to start to grow and build. That's how you start to make a name for yourself and build your name or your channel or your brand into something that's going to be long term and consistent. You want to create a legacy for yourself. You want people to still be talking about you when you're no longer here. Of course, you want them to talk about you now, But even when you're dead and gone, think about all the legends that are no longer with us, whether it's sports, acting, anything. Yeah, we still talk about them to this day. We still talk about the Notorious B.I.G. to this day. We're still talking about famous, Tupac and so
Mhm.
many other people that are no longer here. Actors like Chadwick Boseman and others. I mean, because they left a legacy behind. They built a brand. But you could see all these people, they were truly passionate about what they did and what they loved, and they showcased that to us. It wasn't about the money. Did they make money? Of course, tons of money. But again, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the love of the art and what drove them to continue to keep doing it. So I always encourage everybody to have that mindset with any and everything that you want to do creatively. Again, creativity is key, it's element. There's so many different ways to explore, so many different avenues to go down with just being creative. So if we continue to keep losing sight of that, we're not going to get but so far. Yeah, you might make a name for yourself amongst, a few people that's close within your community, like your friends and family. But, other than that, that's all you're going to be. You're just going to be a popular name to just them. You want to be a popular name to just not only the general public, but the whole entire world. Look at Michael Jackson. Probably the best example I could use. We're still playing Mike's music to this day. Mike's no longer here, God rest his soul. But Mike left a legacy behind. Music for decades, for years to come. People, even the younger generation who probably will never get a chance to hear another Michael Jackson record again. They hear it through people like us, and they're playing it and they're loving it. So that's what it's all about. You know, having that fun, being creative, and doing what you love and enjoy. And it's going to see its way through, but you got to stay with it. You got to stay consistent. You got to always be in a creative element from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. And so that's what's going to help you grow on platforms like this and just in everyday life, So
Were you consistent when you started your channel? Like when you first started your gaming channel, your gaming journey, were you consistent on doing that, or were you just like you doing it like 3 days a week, like 3 days a week?
I never really had a set schedule. And a lot of people have gotten on me about that, like, oh, you should start scheduling, your lives when it comes to your games. It's tough because, again, as I mentioned, I have so many games. And, again, I got to work around my schedule outside of having two jobs and being in a relationship, things like that. I got to find that balance. So it's really tough for me to try to schedule those things. I would love to. I've tried to, but it's just tough because, again, what's the saying? Life be lifing. Things happen. So, and some of those things are out of my control. So if I don't want to try to stay committed to it if I know, it's going to be difficult. But will I still continue to stay consistent? Absolutely. Oh yeah, I'm going to stay active. I'm going to do something so that people know I'm still very much around. I'm still doing my thing. Even if I can't make those commitments like I want to, I will still stay consistent. And like I said, it's better to be consistent than, again, you still commit to what you do, but be consistent, stay with it, especially as it starts to develop and really grow. It's not a hard thing to do. I've seen some people, that might take a couple weeks or a month off and come back and do something. I've seen people take a few days and, come back, do something the following week. So, commitment and consistent are definitely vital and important to this. But, you know, I don't expect anybody to force themselves to commit to something that they know is just going to be difficult for them. But to stay consistent, especially on platforms like this, absolutely, you got to. Because again, you got to keep this in mind. People, especially YouTube and platforms like it, their algorithms, they'll consider you kind of like a dead channel or a dead platform if they don't see you staying with what got you to where you are, you know. So you gotta continue to show up and show out every single time, you know. even if you can't do it on a regular, still just let people know that, hey, I'm still here. I'm still doing my thing. I'm still very much active. It's when you start to make things happen, you start to elevate, and then you just kind of like wither away. That's where the problem kicks in, because now, all those people that have been showing you support, the algorithm, they're starting to recognize you. Now, if they see that you're not as dedicated to it, now it starts to raise eyebrows. Hey, what happened to so-and-so? Where is this person? How come we're not seeing this person no more? They used to be so consistent at one point. Now, they used to be so dedicated, committed. We don't see them no more. I've had people do that with me. They're like, BD, you still around? You still? I'm like, yeah, I'm still here. It's just like I said, you just got to kind of catch me when you can. The only thing I do schedule that I'm committed to are my podcasts. I'm able to schedule those because I'm not doing those every single day or every other day. Like I'll do it weekly, bi-weekly. So those I can kind of put everything together, schedule it. It's perfect. Gaming, again, because it's so much stuff, it's really hard with the schedule. If I was able to get to the point where I could be a full-fledged content creator, I'm making all my money from doing that. Oh yeah, you see me every day. You probably get sick of me. It was just all like 5 seconds ago. Now he's back. So it's just like yes, I am. But that's where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to reach that pinnacle. But until then, I can only do this so much. But I'm still going to stay consistent with everything I'm doing.
So if you get any ideas at night when you sleep, any crazy idea, do you ever get up in the middle of the night and say, "Hey, I need to do this video right now"? If it's a game or if it's a game or a music premiere, will you do it now, or you wait till in the morning to tell your boys and like, "Hey, I got an idea." I'm like, it just came out in the middle of the night. It just came like 1 in the morning. I'm like, "Hey boys, I got something."
I have done that. I haven't like gone live with it or created a video, but I've had the ideas though at all different times of the night, or daytime or whenever. Thing about me is I pride myself on being like a creative mad scientist. Like creativity in my head is always going. I'm always like in creative mode, even when I'm knocked out, snoring, drooling, everything. I'm still
right. I won't say it too much, but I know it's real. I know you. Go ahead.
Yeah, like this doesn't sleep. This is still going. The rest of the body is shut down, but this is always going. So yeah, there's been times at like 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, oh, I'll just kind of like wake up. Eyes like, ooh, okay, yeah, I like that idea. I'll be right back. And then I'll go and start setting it up. And then, the next morning when everybody's awake and alive, then I'll, present it to people and tell them. But no, I haven't just actually like just came up with an idea and just did it like smack that right on the bat. Which nothing's wrong with that. I know some people that do that. But I know for me, like I pride myself on really taking my time and, making sure that I put my all into it. And I think about every little thing when I'm putting together all this content. Are the people going to like it? How are they going to respond to it? Is this really a good idea? Is it not? Should I try it? Should I not? Like I'm thinking about all those things. One thing I don't like to do is, part of my language, I don't like to half-ass when it comes to putting this content together. Even like with, like with Battle of the Beats and Battle of the Bars. I'll give you Battle of the Bars, for example. That's the rap tournament that I just started. It's a single elimination tournament. I wasn't even going to do it at first because I was really reluctant because I know like music is changing now. Again, it's very subjective, but today's society and generation, they don't listen to music the same way we did. And so I wasn't sure. I'm like, okay, I don't know if today's generation is going to necessarily like what I put together if I do make this happen. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? The hell with it. Like, let's just do it. One of two things is going to happen. And this was just with anything. It can either go well, and then we got to figure out, okay, how do we keep this going? How do we keep that flame lit? Or if it doesn't work, we just go back to the drawing board and just ask ourselves, okay, what happened? What went wrong? What can we do to, figure out how to come back even stronger with it? So it's always going to be one of those two things. But again, I like to take my time with everything. And I like to really brainstorm and think about all those things. I almost kind of put myself in the shoes of the viewer. Because if I'm watching it, am I entertained? Am I enjoying it? Is this something that I would recommend to people? Like, these are all things I'm thinking about as I'm putting together the concept or the idea. So it seems like a lot, but it definitely is always something you want to think about. You can't just make it about just you and what you want. I mean, and again, it has to be that balance. You do have to kind of think about yourself, but you more so got to think about the audience and what they're looking forward to. And again, that's the biggest problem with right now with today's society. People aren't thinking about the consumer and what they want and what they're looking forward to. They're just so busy, like, I just got to put it out there. I just got to do this. I got to do that. And just hope that people like it. And they, it's like, no, you can't force them to like it. You can't force it on them. You got to see how it does. You got to be willing to know that there's going to be some ups, some downs, good and bad. That just comes with the territory. So you got to be prepared for those things. You got to be able to take it with a grain of salt. But more importantly, you have to learn from it and just figure out, okay, what can I do to better it and better myself for next time? So yeah, a lot goes into it. But again, always find the fun in it, no matter what it is. Because again, when people see that you're having fun, they lean to that. They gravitate to it. And that's with anything. So as long as people see that and you're giving them something to look forward to, because again, people forget that this is an entertainment platform. I know a lot of people are trying to turn it into a dramatic reality show. Like, this is not the Real Husbands and Housewives or whatever.
Yeah.
This is not that. This is entertainment. So we got to give people what they came for, whether they're paying for it or not. So if you don't do that, you got to keep in mind too that, today's society, attention spans are very short. If people aren't in tune or interested within the first couple seconds to a minute, they'll show support, but they're going to keep it moving. All right, they ain't talking about nothing, or they ain't doing nothing. All right, next. Oh, check this person out. Oh, look what they're doing. Oh, I'm hooked. So, and it doesn't matter if you're live or if they watch the replay. None of that matters. You gotta give them something to look forward to, but you gotta pay attention to your audience. One thing I do, I pay attention to everybody that's coming in. I think about everybody, from the people overseas to the people locally. I'm talking, I'm conversing with them. I'm learning their interests, what they like, what they don't like. It seems like a lot, but you got to take all of that in. So now when you do your content, it makes it easier. Okay, I know this group likes this. I know this group likes that. I know this type of group is into this. They're into that. Okay, cool. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me, it's think of it like cooking. You like all different types of foods. Some have a little more seasoning than others. Some are prepared differently than others. You got to think about all of that and give that to the audience. And that's what keeps them coming back. So treat your content like if you're cooking or if you're doing music or, acting or anything. Have range, have variety, have all those different things, because it sparks their interest. Like, oh, okay, what's this? What's that? Oh, this is different, or this is new, or I wasn't expecting this. Okay, you got my attention now. All right, so you got to think about all those things when it comes to doing this, and the more you do it, I'm telling you, the more you'll grow.
All right, two more questions. We'll leave it out of here. One is, what's the hardest part being making beats? And the second question is, you have any you got any advice for the people who want to start their own making their own beats? I mean, being their own producer, producer on their own channel, and the first thing they see your channel, and they learn from your channel about making their own beats and stuff. What you want to get? What kind of advice you want to get to them? whether you want to start their own music channel, music content journey.
Well, yeah, I don't make beats.
I know I'm not the debate table would put that way in.
Oh, okay. So, oh, you mean like as far as podcasting, like what
Yeah,
to do?
yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll start with that. If you want to be a podcaster, here's what I recommend: watch other people that are doing it. You know, whether they're famous, non-famous. Learn as much as you can from those people, like how they control the crowd, what they talk about, you know, their mannerisms, their professionalism, like all those things. You know, are they, you know, kind of get a feel for the type of person they are, whether you're doing it by yourself or you're doing it collectively. Um, Either way is good. You know, one thing about mines is even though I do it more so solo, I make it open to anybody that wants to be a part of it, even without necessarily having co-hosts, you know. But there's so many different ways to go with it. So you just got to kind of figure that out. But the best way to do that is to watch different ones and learn as much as you can from them before you get ready to go out on your own and do it. I know for me, I watched a couple different ones like Joe Budden's, Drink Champs. My favorite one, and you know, it was kind of like inspiration for the debate table, was LeBron and Maverick Carter's podcast, The Shop. And it didn't even really feel so much like a podcast. It just felt more like just a vibe. I loved how they always had different people every single episode. And most of those people didn't even know each other. But before the episode was all said and done, they built great relationships and bonds with each other. And I thought that was just so dope to see so many different people from all different aspects coming in and vibing out, having a good time, asking each other questions, getting to know each other, getting their opinions and perspectives about whatever they were talking about. Like, it was just so dope. I don't know if the show is still going on. I think they're like 5 or 6 seasons in. But I was always just I watched every single episode, and I was always fascinated about how dope it was. And not only that, but just the questions that LeBron and Maverick Carter asked. Now, there were times LeBron couldn't be there, so Maverick Carter held it down along with his other associate. But just their questions, just their overall aura, how they just presented everything, how they made everybody feel comfortable and feel good to be able to just let their hair down and just enjoy each other's company while, you know, being able to talk and share stories. And it's just dope. Everything about it I was just watching it and just so captivated by, like, yes, I want my podcast to be exactly like this. Actually, both of them, this and Artist Life. So that's the direction I went in. Same thing with Drink Champs too. I love the format of what Noriega and DJ FN do with all the guests and just everything all around. So definitely that. Make sure that you do your research and learn from some of your favorite podcasters or shows or whatever they're doing, because that's definitely going to be a major key. Also, too, make sure you have a premise too if you are going to start a podcast, because what happens is a lot of people start them and their first couple episodes might do really well, and then they don't know what to say or talk about next, you know. And so that can be, you know how they say like writer's block. It's kind of like that. You want to at least have, I feel like the key to a successful podcast is starting off, you got to at least have 10 episodes already ready to go. Like, you got to create a buzz. You got to definitely, you know, give people something to look forward to and know what you're talking about and articulate it in a way that keeps people's attention and keeps their ear listening in. So if you don't have all those things, it's not going to last. So, but again, you got to at least have 10 episodes ready to go. Because to me, that you don't need anything more than that. If you decide to go more and do more, then that's great. But if you just want to keep it simple, you got to at least have 10 already ready. You have to have them, you know, scheduled. You have to have the topic, the idea, whatever it's going to be. Like, all of that has to be in place, you know, before you could even really get it out there going. Because if you don't have that, now if people start getting interested in there, now they're looking into it, they're going to expect more. So if you can't deliver, then, you know, it's going to come and go. So that's what I recommend as far as just podcasting. Those are the things I feel like will generate a successful podcast. Now, as far as being a content creator, starting a channel, number one, make sure this is something you want to do. Because I think what happens is a lot of people, again, we live in a world now where a lot of people follow and don't lead. You know, too many followers, not enough leaders. So you got to make sure that this is something that you definitely want to do. Don't just do it because everybody else is doing it. I've seen a lot of people start channels and they start getting on the roll and they start doing their thing. And then if something happens or it doesn't go as they planned, then they just kind of disappear and fade into the limelight, never to be heard from again. You don't want to put yourself in that position. Ask yourself, really take some time and think about it. Is this something that I want to do? Is this something that I want to pursue? Because if not, then you're just wasting your time. Don't even bother. There's other things that you can do. There's other careers and choices that you could take, but don't force yourself to do this if this is not for you. So I would advise that. Now, if you do decide to do this, you have to have a premise. What is your channel going to represent? What are people going to gain from your channel? What is your channel going to be a representation of? Because a lot of people get lost in that too. They just start to go all over the place because they haven't really found their niche or what they want to do. Like for me, I'm a gamer. I know people see the podcast and everything like that, and they see all the promotion and advertisement. But if you were to break it down into like a pie chart, 70% of my channel is gaming. That other 20% is the podcast. The other 10 is all the advertising and promoting that I do for people and for myself. But the huge chunk of that pie is gaming. That's the premise of my channel. I'm a gamer. Everything else just follows after that. So you have to know what you want to do on here. If you want to be a vlogger, be a vlogger. If you want to be a podcaster, be a podcaster, or a gamer, or a foodie, or whatever you want to be that. You can still branch out and do other things and, add them under that umbrella, but you want people to know what your channel is. It's really frustrating when you see a lot of content creators when they're just all over the place. It makes it hard for the general public to identify what type of content creator you are. And not only that, but it confuses the hell out of YouTube's algorithm because they don't know where to categorize you or classify you under. If you can't go from doing a vlog and then just all of a sudden just randomly playing a video game and then you just start a podcast or then you just do a video where you're just sitting there eating food. It's like, what are you doing? You're all over the place.
You're confusing the people.
Yeah, you got to figure out what your niche is, what your overall premise is going to be. Once you figure that out, it makes it so much easier to now create all different types of elements around that. Again, with gaming, I do variety gaming, but if you notice the type of gaming I do, I like to do interactive stuff. Of course, I'll do stuff that is non-interactive, but I'm finding different ways to, keep it creative and keep it interesting. Whether, I'm doing collaborations or I'm doing like movie games or I'm, turning game shows into something where people can be a part of it and, do their thing as if they're like a part of the game. Like I'm doing different things, exploring different avenues, but I'm staying in that lane of gaming, and same thing with podcasting. I'm not just going all over the place. I'm staying in these lanes. Of course, there's sub lanes that I can get into that are still a part of that, but I'm not just swerving and just going everywhere. Like, you're not going to see me. People were saying, oh, BD, you should start talking about food review, or you should start doing the vlogs. Or no, that's not me. I'm not a vlogger. my life is vlog. You wouldn't want to see me vlogging. Like I go to work and I come home. That's it. Not much to vlog there. So no, I'm not going to get all over the place and just start doing stuff that I know I have no business doing. No, I'm going to stay in the lane that I'm designed to be in, and I'm going to keep that lane as creative as possible. So I advise everyone that's starting up, that's content creating, make sure that's what you want to do. Your channel has to have an identity. If there's no identity, it's going to make it so hard for people to really support you the way they want to and really share you out. Like you'll hear people say in YouTube streets, shout out to BDB, dope gamer, dope gaming content creator. You don't hear them saying, oh yeah, shout out to BDB. Well, I don't even know how to describe his channel. I mean, I know he does a bunch of stuff, but it's like, no, that's not interesting. Again, you always got to put yourself in the shoes of the consumer and think about what they're here for, what they're looking forward to. I know a lot of people that aren't into games, but that's why I do so much variety, because even if they don't actually play the same type of games that I play, there's still some stuff that out there that I can showcase to them that will make them feel like a gamer and will allow them to be a part of it, even if they're not actually playing with a controller. That's why I do like those movie games, or I'll do those interactive ones like Family Feud. I know people can relate to that type of stuff. People love movies. So if I'm doing something where somebody can tune in and they can choose between the choices and decisions of how the game is going to go, they don't got to be a gamer for that. That's just something they can just do on a regular. But they love that type of stuff. And it's still, notice how it still falls into the category of gaming. It's just a different type. You know, it's just like with different types of foods. You got pizza, you got chicken, you got pasta, you got so many different things, but it still all falls into the spectrum of food. Same thing with sports. You got basketball, football, hockey, soccer. It's still all sports. It's just different types of sports. So that's where you have to really tap into your creative mind and tell yourself, okay, this is what I want to do. Now I got to explore all the different avenues of how I can keep this going and everything that it provides. You basically almost kind of have to build a web and just know like, okay, this is the core. Here's everything else, but it's still all connected to what I'm doing. And once you do that, that's where you start to see the success come in. And that's where it becomes easy and fun. But when you just discombobulated, you're just everywhere, you're only gonna get it so far. And now it's going to drive you to become frustrated and stressed because now you can't figure out what your niche is or what your premise is or what your identity is because you're just everywhere. You got to know what you're here to do, what you're here to represent, and you have to go full throttle with that. And then once that takes off and blossoms, then you can kind of expand into other things. Nothing wrong with that, but you know, you gotta continue to stay in this lane and not merge over and just expand this lane as much as possible. That's all. Easy. And most importantly, have fun. I will continue to keep stressing it and preaching it like a pastor at church. You gotta have fun. Nobody's having fun anymore. That's why so many people are coming and going. They're getting jealous, they're getting upset, envious about the next person, starting drama. Stop worrying about the next person. Don't worry about their numbers or their views or how many subs they have. Get on here and do what you love and enjoy. And when people see that, trust me, YouTube and everyone else will help push it out there and get it out there. But you got to be patient. Everything takes time. We all got to start somewhere. It doesn't just happen just like that. You can look at some of those overnight sensations. A lot of them, you know, the reason they are where they are is because they put the time and the work in. There's some, you know, that had that little bit of success, but where are they now? You don't want to be one of those people that's here today, gone tomorrow. They talked about you 1 minute, now you're gone the next. You gotta stay consistent. But in order to do that, you gotta stay creative and you gotta have fun while doing all of it. And as long as you do those things, I guarantee you, you will definitely see success. You'll definitely grow, you'll elevate, and it'll happen a lot sooner than you think. Don't think so much about it. Just focus on doing it. And once you do that, you'll be good. Just that simple.
Last question. I'm done.
All
Are you
right.
thinking of keeping your gaming and your music together on one channel, or you want to separate your gaming and your music, your debate table on a different channel?
No, everything's going to still stay under this umbrella because I've already created this brand. So I wouldn't want to like separate it or, you know, start doing multiple channels. I think that's another issue too that a lot of people mess up in. They start doing multiple channels and now it's too much. It's hard for them to keep up with them. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with having one main channel and creating an umbrella to where now you can add stuff to that. Because honestly, if you look at it, the debate table, Artist Life, those are part of BDBGP. They're just underneath this umbrella. And they're, I mean, they have the capability of being their own separate thing, but it started here. So why not? Why would I now just separate it instead of keeping it where it started and where it originated, which is here? So no, I probably wouldn't start doing like multiple channels and one strictly just for the debate table or one strictly for Artist Life. You know, I've already built a foundation with both of them under this BDBGP imprint. So yeah, I'm going to keep it here. But what I will do is continue to expand and build it as much as possible. You know, so but yeah, I mean, to do multiple channels, I mean, kudos to anybody that can handle that. You know, but for me, I just think that's just too much to try to have 4 or 5 channels and try to keep up with it. I mean, create playlists. Your playlists, I mean, basically that's what the debate table and the Artist Life, they were playlists. And, you know, they got so much recognition and success that now, you know, it was able to transition into a podcast tab once YouTube did their updates and stuff like that. So now if you go on people's channels, you can see where they have like podcasts, playlists. Both of those are in both tabs. But now YouTube has recognized it as not just a playlist, as a podcast. But again, if you click on it, it still is formatted like a playlist. So yeah, that's what I tell people to do. Create multiple playlists, because that's really what helps your channel grow too. You know, outside of other things that you're trying to explore with your content and with your creation for sure. But yeah, those are definitely the things that are most important to succeeding on this platform. And again, to balance everything out. You know, don't do too little, don't do too much. You know, just make sure that you're doing enough and staying as consistent as possible. But you got to have that shift of balance. It has to be like 50-50, never 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, never that. Always 50-50, because it just makes it that much easier. And it takes a lot of stress and frustration off yourself, because too many people treat this thing like a 9 to 5. This is not a 9 to 5. Honestly, and if people want to look at it as a 9 to 5, this is the most fun you will have in any 9 to 5. You get to do it whenever you want to. You get to be your own boss. No one's over your shoulder telling you, oh, to do this and do that. Like, you're your own person with this. So, you know, again, of course, yeah, you can lose your channel if you are doing stuff you're not supposed to do, just like with any job. But again, if you just stay within the rules and regulations and guidelines of this stuff, rock out and do your thing. So that's all it is. That's it.
Well, for that, I appreciate for you to come on my channel, and it's been a while for 2 years. It's been a while for the journey, and I appreciate that. And let's do it again. Let's do it again. I might have to give you more and more. So, and thank you for the behind the scenes for the new thing I need to work on. I'm gonna work on. So, and I'm going to drop you down and see you see you next live.
Appreciate it, my guys. Salute. Y'all take
All right.
care.
All right. Well, that was Beard, y'all. That was Beard, and I'm glad to get him on my channel. It's been 2 years that I had him. It was the first interview. It's been 2 years since the first interview with him on the interview channel, and it was great to catch up with him with where we've been doing, and it's an honor to have him back on the channel. So the next interview will be this coming Tuesday, with Captain Place. Now I did talk to CJ and Sheree. They might send me a DM about coming on my channel, but I'm gonna let them. If they do come, I'll let y'all know when it's gonna be, and then that gonna be it. So if we do get an interview with CJ and Sheree, then that will be a good. Then there will be a probably the last interview. But for now, it'll be Captain Place at 8 o'clock on Tuesday, and that'll be eight. That'll be it till if I make it to next year, we good. So I see y'all Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be here. I will be on my channel, my big channel tomorrow morning, 10:15. Make sure you like, share, subscribe on both channels. Let's get this thing up, y'all. Let's get up. Let's get up. And matter of fact, vote for me to be the one nominees of the the awards. I would love to get an award one day. So let like get me vote for me one day, 1 year, so get me an award for for the interviews and stuff. So yeah. All right, I see y'all tomorrow morning. Peace.